Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Carlton Wrap, and it's been a while, and this time I'm joined by the best names on Twitter, and I'm going to go through every one of you and ask your thoughts. If you wanted a very humorous session talking about the game, you've come to the right spot. So I'm going to look off my screen in the top left corner. We have Kirra. What are your thoughts right now? And it's been 2 days since the game. How are you feeling?
It doesn't get any better. I'm still in pain. Every time I open Twitter and I get a Collingwood suggested tweet, I've muted them that many times and they keep coming up and it's still painful, but we're getting through it. All of the podcasts and shows and the nice side of Twitter is getting me through it.
On my top right, I've got simply Jasmina from Twitter, a cult figure of Twitter now, you could say. Jazz, how are you?
I'm pretty good. Being an influencer is really hard, but I'm really sad, actually, to be honest. It's not fun.
It isn't fun. Bottom left, I would say nearly the co-host of this show after the last couple episodes, Ari Stamatakos. How are you feeling?
Oh, I've never been better. Never been better. I think the best way to describe it is that I've never been more distraught over a 3-day period than the last 3 days. So make of that what you will.
And then on the bottom right for me, we've got Tori. Welcome.
Thank you. Not great. Jasmina doesn't help the situation. She's been sending depressing TikToks flat stick to our group chat, but no, just pretty sad, pretty bummed. Trying to get my mind off it, but it's not really that easy.
It's not. And look, this is why we're here. We're going to talk about it. We're going to debunk it in, I don't know which way. We'll see how this goes, because this is genuinely an experiment podcast, because I don't think I've ever had this many people on a podcast before. So we will see how we go tonight. Let's get into it, and let's start right from the start of the game. I guess pre-game. What were everyone's thoughts? I'm always pessimistic, but I wasn't confident. I wasn't very confident. I thought last week deflated them. Was anyone confident going into Sunday?
I
was
until maybe an hour before the bounce, and then I saw a certain Robin being a late withdrawal, and then I just was like, here we go again.
I was confident until pretty much the last 30 seconds. I was convinced we weren't going to drop it, and that's terrible for myself because set myself up for disaster there, but I was 100% confident throughout the entire thing.
And I can vouch for that. She was like, all of us had dropped off, I reckon, second quarter. We were all like stressing in the group chat, and we was like, "No, don't worry, we're kicking a goal in the next 2 minutes." And then bang, a goal would happen. Like, she was on it.
I was on it.
Like, she was very positive.
I was getting the manifesting vibes coming to me, so I had to run with it. They wouldn't let me stop. I was predicting, and then the predicting dropped off once the fourth quarter started, so I tried to just back out of that one pretty quickly.
Well, I had the magic crystals, but I don't know. I don't think it helped. Sorry, everyone. That was like counting on me and my crystals. I'm really sorry.
Well, obviously not this Sunday. Kirra, what about you?
I told myself that I wasn't confident, but that was just me protecting my heart. I thought deep down, we were going to win because it was just perfect. Beat Collingwood and make the 8. I mean, it sounds great in theory, but yeah, not those last 30 seconds.
Well, I guess some positive results from Sunday. The BFL team won, so we've got one team in finals at least. We can hats on. They're playing Collingwood again. I think it's Sunday, Victoria Park. Anyone going from this trip? I'm certainly not making that trip.
I'm going. I'll be there.
It would be a bit of a far trek for me, so I'll be right here.
Same for me.
Unfortunately.
I don't want to see a Carlton team play any sort of finals for a long time. I'm traumatised. So we could win the VFL flag. I could not care less. With all due respect, of course.
It's going to be our 4th time playing Collingwood in a week because we've got the AFLW on Thursday as well. So if we lose both the AFLW and the VFL, I think I'm going to be traumatised for the rest of my life.
I think that's where you draw the line, hey?
Yep.
It's too much.
Yeah.
Okay, the first talking point, we obviously didn't kick a single goal in the first quarter, and look, was it? It's just always going to happen, wasn't it? But okay, the first talking point: are we genuinely just crap at starting well on big occasions? Because on multiple times this year, the St Kilda game, the second Richmond game, the Brisbane game, and now the Collingwood game, we have started absolutely terribly, and we dig ourselves into a hole that we have to get out of. Is this a genuine problem that is a mentality thing? Anyone want to speak on that?
Well, I'll just butt in and add the first Richmond game as well. We were
I was going to say the same thing.
Just
yeah,
under 4 goals down. Even the Collingwood game, the first time they kicked us back into the game, we were digging ourselves out of another hole there. Yeah, I mean, I kind of gave them a little bit of leeway early in the season. I thought not new list, but like new regime, young players, the occasion will get to them and stuff. But I don't think that flies in round 23, and I don't think you can give them any excuses as much as we want to, as much as we want to kind of shield the pain. It was, I mean, in a big game like that, the biggest game that nearly all of the players have played in their lives, to start like that was not great. And I mean, we kicked we kicked 3 behinds in the first quarter. One of them's a goal and we win the game. So that's how it falls.
Yeah, I think the first quarter was probably one of the most disappointing, even more disappointing than the last quarter, because Sydney played so well against Collingwood in absolutely just not letting them have any hope. From the very first bounce, they suffocated Collingwood. And I thought we would have watched the Sydney game a few times during the week to know what we were up against. And I thought that's what we would try and replicate, because obviously their first loss in a few weeks. So I thought that's exactly how we would go and just demoralise them in the first few bounces. But we didn't do that. And then from the rest of the game, even though our hope was still there and it didn't get completely crushed until the last quarter, I think the first quarter didn't set us up for a successful game.
Jazz, Tori, thoughts?
Yeah, I'm about the same. I was you can't, it's tough to come back from a game you kick nothing in the first quarter, which we did, but if you can't make up for it in the fourth, then what's the point? I guess fourth quarter's the only one that matters at the end of the day. If you're not in front by that final siren, then there's literally no matter whatever anything else happened. But I compare it to, say, like the Hawthorn game in the score we were at quarter time, and how that was so early on as well. But just, the big games, I agree, it's just not there. It's not happening.
We're just not playing our 4 quarters. It literally just comes down to not playing 4 quarters. We can pick and choose like specific parts of the game that we're not happy with, but at the end of the day, it's not converting and it's not playing 4 quarters. That's the main.
I think we dominated the first half of the fourth quarter. We just weren't hitting the scoreboard. Like, they were winning every clearance out of the middle pretty much, getting it down, and then just everyone wanted to miss. That's pretty much what it came down to.
I think it was almost panic because I think they were scared. It's a mental game as well. I just think they need to work through. I think last week traumatised them as it did everyone else, but I really thought they would have learnt from their mistake, especially because we were going in with quite a big gap, whereas the week before we didn't. It was kind of more toe and toe. I don't know. I'm very disappointed, to say the least.
I think that mental game is a really big part of this loss, because in the last quarter, Carlton were thinking, oh crap, we know Collingwood will come back here and they love it to be tight. And Collingwood were thinking, great, this is our opportunity to just rip it from underneath them. And then all the skill went out the door and it was all about what was going on inside their heads. And we just completely froze, folded the ball and couldn't get it through the big 2 sticks.
I think bad kicking's bad footy. And when Kirra and Mackay kick 4 goals, 8 between them. I mean, you can talk about contested, like up 54 contested possessions, 21 clearance, or 21 for 50s.
I was going to say we led every other stat pretty much. the whole
Yeah,
game.
I mean when your key forwards aren't converting, and when we're not converting in general, kick 6 behinds in that last quarter, kick 0 goals 9 in the first and last quarters. It sucks, but like you can't really talk about everything what you want, but if you can't kick straight, then what's the point?
I thought the one thing that annoyed me in that first half was we were just letting Collingwood dictate the game, which was frustrating considering they're a team who has, I believe, one game plan where it's completely based off turnover, and they will look to go straight down the corridor and go from there. They don't run two ways. They just absolutely bolt forward. Was that pissing anyone else off? Because it was really annoying me. I don't know how you can't have a plan B to that. I think it's quite easy to shut off. And we saw it when they shut it off in the third quarter. They did absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
It's more like when we're on. I feel like we can talk about Collingwood all we want, but it's almost irrelevant because when we're on, we're unbeatable. You saw in that third quarter, we were. It kind of everything. We were doing everything right for maybe the second quarter. People talk about the third quarter. It really started in the second. We just couldn't convert. We got the margin back down to 7. I think it was halfway through the second. They kicked 2 goals late, and then the third quarter, it felt like the damn wall busted in a sense. Like finally we're converting and we're getting scores on the board. Like it kind of I would hesitate to say we spent our petrol tickets too early, but we can speak about Collingwood all we want. We just weren't able to see the game out because it was in our hands. I
had a really good point made to me. If you're 24 points up at 3/4 time and someone comes in and say, okay, you're 20, however many points we were up, both teams have 6 scoring shots, which team wins? You'd never, ever say Collingwood in that scenario because the game was out. We had a 24, 25 point head start and we chucked it out the window. And it ended up being that 1 point that Collingwood kicked. That was the difference.
That's what's so frustrating. Our best and our worst is so far apart. And that's what the good teams bridge, but we're just not there. And that's what makes you want to rip your hair out because the difference in quarters, not even the difference in games, the difference in a quarter is so, so different.
Well, I mean, how many times this year have we gone from scoreless to 5, 6, 7, 8 goal, like just pylons in a quarter this year? How many times has that happened? So many times. And sometimes it wins us the game and sometimes it's not enough. And that's what I mean when it all comes down to not performing for 4 quarters. We need to play 4 quarters of consistent football, not 2 quarters of unreal football. You're not going to win games like that.
At halftime, did anyone think we were still a chance? Because I completely wrote us off, and some people in this chat had some messages to prove that I wrote them off at halftime. Was anyone confident? I was just under the impression.
I don't know, Jasmina.
Tori, if I'm pointing at her, Tori.
You're pointing to Ari at the moment on my screen. I don't know.
You're pointing at Kirra. I don't know.
I've got no
You're pointing
clue
at no one for me.
Yeah. Well,
wherever she is.
I'll just interrupt. I turned to my uncle and said, or my uncle and said, I don't see a way we win this game. It's the first time ever I've conceded a game at halftime because nothing gave me confidence. Nothing gave me because I knew the story. I knew it before almost the game was going to happen. I knew the story. I knew the headlines. They could have been 10 goals up at halftime. We could have been 100 points up at halftime. I still would have been like, this game's not over. So I just was never confident.
I'm just finding the message. So Kirra, if you want to go.
I was done at halftime. I thought, well, there was a little part of me that knew that we could have that, 8-goal quarter and Charlie and Harry could absolutely turn it on. But I, once again, didn't think 1 quarter of football was going to be enough. But halftime, I turned to my dad, who was Collingwood, and I said, there's no way Carlton are winning this game. And then third quarter, of course, gave me hope. And then they crushed it. But halftime, I was done.
Well, I rode the waves. Like, let me tell you, I rode the waves because during that bloody 8-goal quarter we had, I remember that passage of play where we like rebounded so well and the ball almost went out of bounds and they brought it back in and then Charlie took that mark and he missed. But I remember that transition alone like sent me. Like I was so excited and I was like, this is good footy. Like they need to keep this up. I remember screaming at the top of my lungs at my dad. I just grabbed him and was like, I love this footy club. And then like half an hour later, I'm like, fuck this footy club.
And half an hour before, she was like, stuff this footy club. Like she was done at, you were done at halftime.
I was done.
And I couldn't, anything I could say wouldn't have changed that until I was right and she came crawling back to reality. My messages are so slow. I have to find it because it's a moment in history. So move on if you wish and we can come back to it, but I will find this message.
Well, I mean, let's move into the third quarter, and it took only, 30 seconds to actually kick a goal. And I couldn't tell who went down when that collision happened. I saw Silvani, but I didn't know Cripps copped it bad.
You know what? I don't think on the TV it didn't even look like that bad, and I don't even see him get hit in the stomach or anything. If anything, Silvani looked like the worse off when it first happened, like the collision itself. Like they replayed it 100 times on TV.
Patrick's a mate. I wouldn't want him coming at me at any time.
No, not at all. But he was holding his ribs, and we couldn't work out like why are you holding, like what was wrong kind of thing. And then we kind of just had to say, oh, he's probably winded or whatever the case was at the time. But it didn't look as bad in the moment as they kept like the way he reacted. Something obviously went down with it.
I was sitting level 2 and I thought he had died. Like, yeah. I was very, very concerned. He was on his back, like he was in all sorts, and I was very worried that he was done for the day. And then he shrugged off the trainer, and I was and he was
fine 2 minutes later. He was good to go.
But that initial reaction when he was on the floor on all fours and he could not stand up, and then I think even a Collingwood player, went over to him and lifted him up, and I'm like, oh Lord, if the opposition's helping him up, we're in strife. But then he got up and had the best 2 quarters, but just wasn't enough.
I guess Kirra kicked that early goal. I don't know, it was weird. I feel like no one celebrated it because everyone's just watching Cripps. Like I don't know. Yeah. No one celebrated. It was a very quiet goal. But some talking points. Your fave, Jazz Marchbank, probably one of the best rundown tackles of the day on Josh Dacos.
Yeah.
Great moment.
Like no one can tackle Josh Dacos. Like he's a slippery bugger. Like he's a hard one to catch. And Marchbank's fast, but he's not like fast. So I think I was very happy with that. And if you heard screaming from level 4, it was me. It was definitely me. I'm very happy with his game, actually, overall. I still think there's plenty of room for improvement. I don't think he fully trusts himself. I think he's still a bit worried to do another injury and stuff like that. I think he's a bit in his head. But with more consecutive games, I think he's only going to get better. And I saw someone say on Twitter actually yesterday that they think he will make All-Australian next year, and I think I will pass out if that's the case. So I think so. I mean, if he plays good footy consistently, then yeah, why not?
I think reflecting on... Sorry, go, Nath.
No. I was just saying it's a fair point. You go.
I think reflecting on that game, that Marchbank tackle was probably the moment that I thought, oh crap, we might actually come back here and we could maybe win. I think that was the moment that I got really, really excited. I also agree. He had a great game.
I think it was a bit similar to the Cripps bump. The bump. It's a bit similar to that and how our momentum just completely changed like that after a big moment like that. And I think Caleb's tackle was executed perfectly. It was a great tackle. And I think everything changed from there. Even Mitch McGovern's tackle later on, unreal.
It was just a weird quarter because I'd never thought it would amount to a 24-point lead. So I was just waiting for that streak of momentum to just slowly die off. And I thought it happened when Ginnivan kicked that goal to put it to 12 points, I think. I thought that's when it ended. Cripps. Let's talk about Cripps. He got best on ground, and those scumbags, man, they booed him. Okay, there's a lot to discuss about that, but oh my god, nah, I fucking hate him. I hate him.
I'll butt in and say shame on anyone who boos a champion.
That's what I was going to say. In the words of your old coach.
And Blue Abroad family as well, by the way.
Yeah, Blue Abroad family, Nathan Buckley.
Mate, Collingwood fans were going to Terry's channel, to a Carlton channel, just to watch it. They had to go there. That is just beautiful.
Just on that, I remember.
Terry owns fan media in Australia. He owns it. Sorry, period. He invented it here in Australia.
Moving back to that, we'll speak about Cripps' game as well, but that moment, I was walking down the stairs or ramp or whatever, I can't remember at all, like Vietnam flashbacks for me. And I heard the booing, because I heard that Cripps got announced BOG, and I heard the booing, and I wasn't even angry at that point. I was just even more gutted, just even more deflated, because when your captain does that, pulls that performance out the bag and did pretty much everything he could to drag us by the collar over the line, it stings a little bit more.
I mean, I heard it from... I reckon I was already out of the stadium by that point.
I think I was too.
I thought it was... I still heard it, but I thought it was the umpire. I thought they were just doing it, the umpires walking off the ground. And it wasn't till today that I actually found out Cripps got best on ground. So it wasn't really talked about.
Fox Footy didn't cover it. Fox Footy didn't cover it as well. Pretty much, they switched straight on to best on ground or whatever it was. And we didn't see it. We didn't know. I didn't know till after that's what they did. Supposedly Channel 7 did, but yeah, I missed it and I was annoyed the next day, obviously. But Jazz, you go. Sorry to cut you off.
I left.
You left.
As soon as the final siren went, I bawled my eyes out. I sat in my seat and bawled my eyes out for the second week in a row on level 4 at the MCG. And my dad just looked at me and like his heart broke, and he's been profusely apologising to me for making me a Carlton supporter. So, yeah, I left. We left. I was not going to sit there and listen to them. Oh, my God. I didn't realise that that's what they were doing, though. I didn't realise that they were announcing, like, best on ground and all that and stuff. But when I was outside the ground is when I heard the booing and when I heard Patrick say, I'm sorry, we couldn't get it done for you guys.
I was still there because my dad was Collingwood and I wasn't going to make him leave, and I was also still crying and mourning the death of our football club. And it was so loud. Like, it was very, very loud. It almost made me stop crying because I then got angry instead of upset.
Yeah.
Oh, well, let's talk about just Cripps' game in general. Like you said, Ari, but he carried us. He carried us over the line. What more can he do? I mean, it's just like at the point where he's like year after year, he's just the main one, the leader, and it's tough. There's a couple players, people you talk about Jack and Paddy, like that have just been there and gone through it all. Like, I'm just worried. Like, is this going to affect them just like long term? The longer it takes, the worse it gets for them. The more they lose motivation. Like, I know you can't completely lose motivation, but like it'd just be so gutting for them, though.
Well, I had that exact thought. I thought, is this going to be the thing that breaks them? And I honestly believe that it won't. I think it'll have the opposite effect on them, purely because they never had a taste before this. Like, this is the first time they've had a taste. Every other time we've been 10th, 11th, 12th. You know what I mean? Like, pushing, but no, not close. We were close. We're there. I believe that if we made finals and we won that game, I reckon we would have pushed Brisbane, probably beaten Brisbane in their form. I think we deserve the spot more than the Doggies, but they just couldn't get it done. That's what's disappointing, like thinking about what could have been. I don't think that this will break them. I think it'll make them hungrier, and I think we actually need to buckle up because next year is going to be insane. Like, and I know that we say that every year, but I'm telling you, mark my words, okay? You will come back here and you will watch this and you'll be like, she was right, okay? I'm not pulling a Terry. I'm actually going to get it right. Trust me.
I was going to say, I do agree. And I think we have the right leader. I think Vossi is just as hungry as anyone. He knows what it is. He knows the feeling of winning a premiership multiple times. And I think we have that leadership now that wants to really, really get us there. And I think he's the one to do it. And I agree with Jazz. I think next year's one to watch for sure.
Well, that's the other thing. Everyone's talking about Vossi and the angry Carlton supporters are saying, oh, get rid of him. Mate, he's been there a year and he's done more than any of the other coaches we've had before. Like, seriously, he's the guy. Vossi is the guy. Give him a big kiss on the lips when it's all done, mate, because I'm telling you it's happening. It's coming. It's coming.
I think this is the most important off-season in the club, but also Patrick Cripps's career, in my opinion, because he's a massive, if you listen to any interviews he does, or if you understand what he's about, he's big on belief, he's big on hope, and it almost comes into, you can always maintain hope when things aren't going well, because you get used to that feeling, get numb to that feeling. This is the worst loss that maybe Mitch McGovern and Zach Williams aside, all of those players will have ever experienced. And Cripps being a senior player, being the senior player that hasn't experienced anything in terms of footy, this, if any loss, he's going to break him. And if any loss, he's going to make him realise, I'm 28 next year, I've not played a final. This is the loss. So this is, I would hesitate to say the club's, maybe not the club's future hinges on this off-season, but if they don't get this off-season and this pre-season right, from a mental standpoint, we could be in danger. But in saying that, I trust them to get it right, because I want to have faith in this group, because I feel like they've allowed me to give them faith for once.
We have so much talent.
The talent's never been the problem.
It's not that's what I'm saying. It's not the group. Like, the group is there. We have 5 people in the All-Australian team, and it should have been 6. It should have been, like, that's unreal for a team that was down the bottom for so long. You know what I mean? Like, we have the talent. It's about executing the game plan consistently and how Vossi wants it done. I don't know if any of you watched the presser. It took me ages to watch the presser. I literally listened to it only today. But Vossi mentioned that we needed to work on just consistency and being able to carry out the game plan for longer. So he wants to actually make their load even heavier in the off season so that they're able to carry it for longer. You know what I mean? So I thought that was really positive, because I've never heard any other of our coaches say anything like that. So it kind of eased my mind in a way.
It was a good presser. I thought he summed it up well. Didn't sugarcoat anything. I think he probably would have copped a bit from, I think it was that Brisbane press conference or the Adelaide one, where it was just very Teague-esque. I think he copped it a little bit. That was a much better presser in the end. And I don't know, did give me a bit more hope. Let's move back to the third quarter. Curnow, Mackay, Motlop. Personally, I don't get excited when we kick goals, because I don't like getting ahead. But the Motlop goal, I can't remember which Motlop goal it was, but I think it would have been the one right before 3 quarter time, got me up and about. But out of those, I think those 4 last goals of Curnow, Mackay, the 2 Motlop ones, which was everyone's favourite? Or the favourite moment from that quarter?
I think Motlop's that one, and he just gave it to the crowd on his way past. Definitely a standout. I think he is a talent that we are going to be thankful to have. He's 1 year in and already showing a lot of promise. So as long as they give him consistency, he's a good one, a good egg.
I'll throw something. I'm just going to ignore your question, Nathan. Not one of the last 4 goals, but Adam Chera's second goal from 55.
Yeah,
reminded me.
I forgot about that one.
uncannily similar to Jack Martin's goal to put us in front in round 1. I'm very similar to you. I don't go early. I didn't celebrate. Didn't move for the whole third quarter. But I thought it gave me, it fucking was good to see Adam Cherra stepping up. We pay him $4 billion a year or whatever we are. You'd expect him to stand up in big moments. To see him dob it from 55, I thought, all right, if he's doing that, because he's not a known goal kicker. He's not like a Cripps who we expect to go forward and kick goals. He did it in a high pressure moment, and to see him do that gave me hope that we're back. Although the Motlop one before 3/4 time was special.
You know, the Doherty goal reminded me literally. Well, you talk about it. You talk about it.
It felt identical to the Richmond one. Identical. It gave me goosebumps. I got teary-eyed. Like, we've seen it before. It was like pretty much a replay.
Reaction was the same. Everything. It was like almost like frame for frame, the same thing. It was amazing.
That was actually the goal I was gonna mention as like my favorite, because it just sat with me. You know. There's a lot of positives in the game, and I know that we don't want to talk about, positives too much because it's not really a win, but I can't say I'm fully disappointed in them. Like, I can say that I have hope for next season, which is the first time I can confidently say that.
That's true. Kirra?
I think mine was probably the Curnow goal, just because of the story of the whole week. I think I'm not personally a fan of massive contracts. I think they're a little bit silly, but I think when it comes to Charlie, he's a man that every club in the country would be after at the moment, and the fact that he went a year early and wants to be blue forever, that during the week gave me a lot of hope for where we're going as a club, and the fact that they're all these quotes from the day he signed when he was saying, we want to do this as a group, we've stuck together through all the hard times, and I think when he kicked that goal, I was getting a little bit excited of what this week could mean in the history of Carlton Football Club. So that was my one.
Well, okay, 3/4 time. I keep saying, so I thought it was just never meant to be that we were up by 24 points against the one team who absolutely thrives in those moments where they are down. I just thought it was going to collapse, and turned to the girl next to me. That was Carlton. I said, I hate being up by this much because it's going to make it the more embarrassing when we collapse. Those were my thoughts, because I just have no confidence in this team still, and it's probably just because of all those years of just being absolutely scarred. But was anyone any different? Was anyone actually confident we would hold on?
I'm never confident, but for some reason at 3/4 time, there was no thought in my mind that we were going to lose that game.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, and I think it was just more not the fact that I genuinely didn't think we would lose it, but just the hope that I was hoping that this would finally be the moment that it all turned. And I think because that's what hurt so much on the final siren, we're all haven't seen much success, if any, depending on how you classify success. And I think the excitement of this season was just brought so much joy that in the third quarter, I thought, that joy is going to keep going, and this year will finish in an exciting way, but nope.
Yeah, I'm always the most positive person in the room, especially when it comes to the Blues. I never have a bad word to say, but 3/4 time, and I was convinced that we were either going to put them away or they'd come back, but we wouldn't let them catch us because we knew how much this game meant. And I think as soon as they missed 2 goals, I was like, holy crap, please do not do this to me again, because I had obviously hyped up all the girls as well that this is real, we're doing well. And my optimism was shining too brightly for that day, because obviously if you set yourself up with too much optimism for it, you're obviously going to get very hurt when that all comes crashing down. So yeah, very optimistic, but quickly replaced with a whole lot of depression.
I was borderline in tears at 3/4 time because it's probably, I think this goes back to my pre-game thoughts, and this will make sense once I finish my point. I very rarely get truly nervous for games. If you go back to Richmond round 1 or the Doggies game or the Sydney game or even the Melbourne game, it's more excitement because for those games, if we lost those games, it didn't really matter. Like if we lost to Richmond round 1, yeah, we lost, but we still got 20 games to fix it up. If we lost to the D's last week, yes, it sucked, but we still have this game. I felt pre-game that this is it, last chance. There's no second chances now. And at 3/4 time, I was like, they've got half an hour. They got half an hour left. How much? Like, and I just, does it go back to a confidence thing? I don't know, but I was petrified at 3/4 time. Absolutely petrified because I did not want my heart broken again. I just didn't. I couldn't do it. So we could have been 10 goals up. We could have been 100 points up. It could have been a draw at 3/4 time. My feelings would have stayed the same because this group hasn't allowed me to have full faith in them to back them under any circumstance to get the job done. I was just utterly petrified at 3/4 time.
Kirra, have you spoken? I can't remember.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, we've all gone around. Well, let's talk about this last quarter. As much as it sucks, I mean, can everyone agree that the Charlie Curnow rushed snap kick was the moment?
Yeah,
It was the moment, but 9 times out of 10, I'd trust him when he rushes them because he 9 times out of 10 will kick those goals and has. So when he plays on, it's a mental thing for him to just get the job done. And in this specific occasion, he rushed it that little bit too much, obviously causing part of the result. But there was 5 other goals that were also missed in that quarter. So I'm not going to solely blame Charlie because the score's not based on one player at the end of the day.
it's this thing of the group did it to me, like they did it to me again. When Curnow missed, I didn't concede the game, but I thought, here we go again. And then fast forward 5 minutes, Mitch McGovern runs down Josh Dacos in the middle of the MCG. I'm thinking, we're on again. I'm thinking that doesn't happen when we lose. That doesn't happen. And then I'm sure we'll speak about the goals that didn't go our way that quarter. But I just slowly felt it happening again. It's happening again. It's happening again.
I was going to say, it's not even just the goal. I think that Corey Durden kick in the last minute, 2 minutes, whatever it was, that to me was just like you had about 5 different shots. Even Torpet, just hit for the goal and go for it because no matter the result would have been better than what he did.
We only needed a point.
We just needed
it to be a draw.
Exactly, and I just thought, and I trust Corey's kicks most of the time also. I think he is another player, like, I'm excited to watch. But looking back, and obviously I've watched that 2 minutes 100 times, stupidly. But if he, any one of those players, I know in the moment it's harsh, but all that space and all those people hit it to the top of the square. You know what I mean? Just that one hurt. That one hurt the most. That kick.
I genuinely think the Corey situation just comes down to like inexperience. Like he probably hasn't been in a high pressure situation like that when everything's on the line. I think in the moment he did what he thought was right. And we can all sit there and curse him out and crack it at him. But at the end of the day, he's a kid. Like,
yeah, no, 100%. And I'm not disagreeing with that for a second. But yeah, like goals-wise, yes. But there's moments like that. And it is a young group, but you can't blame youth forever either.
Yeah. My moment wasn't even a mistake. My moment was when Charlie had it just outside the 50 line. I can't remember how long was left, but it felt identical to the Melbourne situation. And he didn't even stuff up the kick. He kicked it perfectly, but I just got immediate flashbacks to the Melbourne game. Everything looked the same. The scoreboard, everything. It was going to be identical to the Melbourne game. And that for me was the moment where I just knew that there was no way this was ending any other way than in tears.
Well, going back to that Corey Durden situation, I would go as far as to say Corey Durden is the least, or the person you blame least for that situation, because Jack Silvani, Harry Mackay, Charlie Curnow all led to the pocket. If you just a little bit of football smarts, just top of the square, all of you go there. And I think Cripper's standing 15 metres away from Durden. Why isn't he telling Durden to do to just kick it to the top of the square? I think I think it goes as far as to say this group isn't ready. They don't know how to deal with it yet.
Yeah, I agree.
What another moment. This isn't even. I thought when Mason Cox is kicking a goal against you, you're in a bit of trouble. That was when I was like, okay, we're just simply not prepared to close this game out. When Mason Cox, of all people, is taking contested marks in your forward line, I just thought we were mentally just collapsing at that point. But it leads to another point. I mean, did we handle I guess when you look at the result, the answer is no. But in terms of closing out the game, I thought we handled it quite well. I thought we did all the right things. And even if you look at the Durden thing, it was a skill error that cost us. I thought he did exactly. He led exactly where he needed to be. I don't know. Did we do the right things in order to close that game out? Apart from the fact that Collingwood kicked 4 goals, but just those last 2 minutes, did we do the right things?
There's other stuff.
Okay. No, go, Jazz.
You go.
I was just going to say, if you replay that last quarter 9 times out of 10, we win the game. That's it.
Pretty much.
Other little things that disappointed me, like the fact that Ginnivan and Elliott were by themselves for that last goal. Like, that's pretty poor from Wiedering, especially he was right there. Like, he should be telling Marchbank and Lewis Young and all them to get back. Like, the side, what are they called? The people on the side? What are they called? At the bench. The team, whatever.
The runners.
Right. They were holding up this side. Sorry, mental blank really bad. I look really stupid now, but anyway, that's fine. I'm not dumb. I just had a mental blank. Too many thoughts going through my head. Anyways, they held up the sign. They pretty much said that we had 2 minutes to go. Why are you not on your man? Like, that was very frustrating. The way that they transitioned that ball was way too easy. And at the end of the day, that comes down to working harder. All day they were working harder. They found space every time. When they were on, it was because they found space. If you close down that space, they don't go anywhere. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think nowadays they're very man your area. But in high pressure 2 minutes to go situations, your man is where you need to be, because at the end of the day, an area is fine, but if someone's out and they get out, then you're done. Whereas if you man up, then it's always a one-on-one contest. It's a 50-50 chance no matter where the ball goes.
I think I might be changing the question a little bit here, but I think in terms of handling the actual game pressure and the stakes of the game, I think probably McGovern and Williams were our 2 players, along with Cripps, but were the 2 players that handled the moment the best. And that's the reason that I said from the moment Zach Williams got injured is if we play finals, I don't care if he's playing on one leg, he needs to play because he knows what it takes and he knows how to handle himself in those moments. And I think that's the difference. Those 2 players show the difference in the team between the players that know how to handle situations and the players that just don't. And that comes down to just the history of Carlton and what they've always known, and that's to lose and to not be playing in games that matter. So I think those 2 players probably handled the moment as well as anyone else on the field.
Well, I mean, I guess that really led us to the end of the game. I don't know which was worse, that Jamie Elliott kicked that goal. Could have been Ginnivan, really. But if anyone it was going to be, it was obviously just going to be Jamie Elliott doing it again. It's just I don't know. There's no point talking about how we felt after the final siren. It's just it was so empty. I just left. I just stood up and left. Just a question, how many angry people were there in your area of the ground when you left? Someone punched event as going down the stairs. Someone kicked the fence that is like the fencing where you can look outside. Is anyone faced with any real angry people?
I'm going to go first because obviously I wasn't at the ground, living where I live. Mine was myself. I pretty much just told my boyfriend to leave and I didn't want him in the house because it wasn't going to be a pretty sight if he stayed. And then I just laid on the floor for about an hour wanting to cry. So I was the angriest in my house, that's for sure.
I couldn't see any angry people through my jumper or my tears. So. And it's literally just a blur. I literally remember the final siren and then me being in the car. That whole walk back to the car is. I describe it like this. The Pickett. I mean, I'm just going to go on tangent here. The Pickett goal last week itself hurt more.
Yeah.
Because I knew there was 10 seconds left, and it felt like someone had died. Like I felt like I had died when he kicked that goal. And then when Elliot kicks the goal, I'm thinking, right, I know there's still 90 seconds left, so surely we're going to get one chance. That's what I thought. I thought with 90 seconds left, even if they get the clearance, we're going to get one chance. We're going to get one. And then when Durden laces out Jeremy Howe in the pocket, I'm thinking they're going to do it again. They're going to do it to me again. They're going to break my heart again. I just thought it's going to happen again. That's all I thought. It's happening again. It's happening. I'm seeing it. I felt so powerless. I was seeing it right there. It was happening right in front of me.
Did it almost prepare you, though, the Melbourne one? Were you already hurt enough from that?
No.
Did it hurt more, or are you still hurting?
No, it felt like I'd been punched in the gut and punched in the head.
It sounds ridiculous, but it genuinely felt like someone died. I felt like I was leaving a funeral. Like, I just felt empty. Yeah. And nothing anyone said would make that feeling better. Like, no one, like, when you're leaving a funeral, doesn't matter what someone says, you're not bringing back the person that's passed away. It was like this. Doesn't matter what you say, you're not bringing back that win. And it sounds so ridiculous because, 22 men that don't know who we are, but it's our life. Like, we put so much time and energy into it. And when it gets ripped away from you in the circumstances that it did against Collingwood, of all people, it kills you. But yeah, I'm the same. I don't remember much either. I just remember crying in my seat and then walking out, and I was walking down the stairs and all the Collingwood supporters were singing the chant, "People want to know who we are." And I just remember thinking, I cannot be at the MCG right now. Just get me out of here. And then I just walked as fast as I could to the train station because I was distraught and I did not want to hear the Collingwood fans living their best life.
It's just like, I don't know. People say like, life goes on, but like, does it? Because like, nothing's going on at the moment. I don't think we'll be able to fully move on until the grand finals finished. Just
I don't
purely
think I'll
because,
be able to move on until round 1.
Yeah,
next year.
In a sense, I just feel like once the grand final's done, it's like, well, there's only one winner. That one team's won, and 17 other teams didn't win it. So it's like we're just one of those 17 teams in a sense. It will hurt, and it will hurt until round 1. But then I guess that proposes the question, what's next? I mean, I think top 4 next year, but that is a long way away. But what's next short term? What do we do now?
Mourn.
I like it, Ari.
Mourn for longer.
I don't know.
I never want to think about next week. Don't
think
think about next year.
I think the boys need to thrive off it, use the pain that they're getting, and just get to work and really come out all guns blazing through pre-season and through next year.
I honestly think people like Patrick Cripps, Sam Walsh, Jack Silvani, Sam Doherty, those guys, even Caleb Marchbank and Charlie Curnow both going through major injuries and like properly coming back this season. I think now that they've gotten a taste as well, it'll make them want to work harder and be better. I think the passengers of the team, even though I don't really think we had many, I think everybody did their part. Yes, there were mistakes, but there's mistakes every time. You can't stop. It's not going to be a perfect show every time. You know what I mean? So I just hope that they all sit there and they just want to be better. That's what you got to hope for. Just got to hope they want to work harder, during the preseason, get themselves super duper fit. We want to pray for no more injuries. We just want to go into round 1 with a full fucking list for once.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Pray for 0 injuries next year would be fantastic. That would be game changing in itself.
Well,
talk about like if Walshy was in, if Hewitt was in, if Kennedy was in, if we had our midfield, our guys.
Well, we can speak about that, and I don't want to bring the mood down, but how do we get into a position where we mismanage our players so much that our best player, or one of, misses the most important game of the season with soreness? How does that happen? How do we mismanage him that badly? Unless it's not soreness, they're lying to us. But
you can say the same thing about Hewitt. He was only meant to be out for a week or 2. He's been gone for 4 weeks, a month.
Yeah. How did the club put themselves into this position where, with the most crucial month of the season, we're having this happen to us, where we're mismanaging players and not giving them the best chance of playing? Because you look at Collingwood, Taylor Adams,
2 injuries, Brodie Grundy and Taylor Adams.
Yeah, and then you look at Melbourne. I think
one.
Tom McDonald. Literally.
That's it.
Well, Melbourne had 4, and I remember, I listened to the commentary when we played them in the VFL, and I think Jason Bennett was they have 4 injuries across both AFL and VFL programs.
Yeah.
That's insane.
We've got 16.
From round 6 onwards, there was never less than 10 players on our injury list at one time. We had something like over 10 players miss over a month of football, which included Mark Pitney, Harry Mackay, Jacob Wiedering, George Hewitt. There's Matt Kennedy, crucial players missing a month of football. That you don't win flags like that. It's plain and simple. You can talk about it being luck, but it happened last year. The same thing with injuries. Something's got to give.
I feel like it happens every year.
It does. I don't feel like it ever ends. And it's do you blame S&C for this? I mean, I feel like it's happening to too many players for it not to be a bit of a strength and conditioning problem.
Well, that's my concern with Voss saying they're gonna go even harder in pre-season. They can't cope with this. If their body can't cope with this, God forbid, we're gonna have no players come round 1 next year. So I don't know what the solution is. I don't work in a football club, right? So I obviously don't know. But
get Buckley on here; he'll explain.
Yeah, because that's exactly what we need to speak to a Collingwood person now. Great. Yeah, when does it give? When does it turn? Because it either goes one or two ways. It either goes the way of our boys are finally mature in their bodies to deal with it, and everything clicks physically, or it breaks them. It breaks them. It's one or the other. And I mean, knowing our luck, we all know which one that could probably end up being.
Does anyone know if Kennedy's going to be okay to go round 1? Does anyone know how serious this ankle thing is?
He had surgery last week or something. 6 months away. I'd like to think so.
Well, I don't recall another AFL player having the same injury. As what? Yeah.
I don't think it was too long, the recovery period. At least it's come at a good time. I think
you're looking at me very confused, Jazz.
I'm just angry. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think Cook said Hewitt might be having surgery too.
Well, Hewitt's had a back injury since Sydney. This issue with Hewitt has been a long time coming. It's been coming the whole season. That's why Sydney were willing to get rid of it, or that was willing to happen. He's a great player, but that back injury is something that's plagued him. And then we all know Zach Williams is made of tissue paper. Mitch McGovern's a hamstring injury away from retirement. Oscar McDonald's dead by all accounts. So, like, where do we go from
David Cunningham, where's he?
Yeah,
Where's
he's
Cunningham?
Dead too.
Yeah, he's dead.
It's
Like-
gone.
He's out of contract.
Is he really?
He's out of contract this year, and I think Caleb is, or he has one more year.
I don't know. I don't know about Caleb.
I should know that. Please don't be disappointed in me, fans. I'm just trying to not think about him leaving. Trying to block that out.
Well, he's one more fucking injury away from.
Say it. Say it. I dare you to say
I'm
it.
just saying.
There's a screen between us, mate.
I'm just saying.
Don't.
Okay, all right. Tension is pretty heavy here. Let's finish up. I want everyone to give a good, 30-second summary of the season, and then a grade, A to F. I think a pass or fail, just an A to F on the season. Jazz, you start. Tori, Ari, and then Kirra. Actually, I'll quickly say mine. I reckon it was a B minus because it was definitely improvement. I like the direction we were going in, it just makes it worse that we started so well, all that potential. Look, I think it can all be forgiven next year, put it that way. But I think this team is so capable of top 4. Jazz.
I think it's a C+. Because you can't go from 9-3 to dropping out of the 8. I think that our back half of the season was really poor, and we let very easy winnable games go, like the Adelaide game. I think actually the Adelaide game is where we lost our season. It was not the Melbourne game. It was not the Collingwood game. It was literally the Adelaide game, because Collingwood and Melbourne were never guaranteed wins. That one should have been a guaranteed win. So I think it was a C+. Actually, I'll make it a B because Caleb came back.
Nice.
I'm gonna go a B as well. I think there's lots and lots and lots of pluses, but a couple negatives that definitely don't deserve more than that. Yeah, just a lot to look forward to, hopefully, but wasn't 100% a success. Well, wasn't really a success in the end of the day.
If you ask me, if you're asking me now, F. But I feel like if you're going to ask me in a week's time, even in a month's time, I'd probably say, I don't even know. Just stick with F for now. No, it's probably a B-ish. Yeah, sure. B, C+. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have.
Please never become a school teacher.
God, trust me. I just don't ever want to. Yeah, it was shit. Just move on. I can't do it right now.
I'm going to say a B because it would have been an A if we made finals. A+.
I mean, A+
if you win the
if we made fun. Yeah, definitely.
A+ if you win the flag. A if you make
Alright.
finals. So, yeah, I'm going to say a B, but I think the start of the year was the most fun most supporters, young supporters at least, have had ever at the footy. And I think that just, I was living my best life at the start of the
Say
season.
most of us,
Yeah.
we're all classified as young.
Yeah, no, we're all young. We are all young. And I think we started really well. And I think if we can build on that next year, it can all be forgotten. As Nathan said, next year we won't, if we make the 8 next year, win a final, no one's going to be talking about when we lost to Collingwood last year. So you've got 6 months and you can resolve everything that happened in the last 2 weeks.
Well, that's...
I'll butt in. I'll butt in and give my proper answer. No, I mean, when you look at I think if you take the positives as a whole, they're an A+. If you take the negatives, they're an F. I feel like that's indicative of where we are the whole season. Our best is elite. Our worst is dog shit. So what that averages out to, probably a C+, a B if you're being generous. It was just the most Carlton season. I think I've ever experienced any sporting team in the world ever have. We had it. We had it. I reckon we had 7 opportunities to secure finals, all the way from the St Kilda game to the Adelaide game to the Brisbane game to the Melbourne game to the Collingwood game to even the Collingwood game the first time, the Richmond game. Fuck. Jesus Christ.
We could go on.
Yeah. And even we talk about these games, but if we just don't choke a 38-point lead against Hawthorn, probably make finals on percentage. So,
Ari, why'd you do that to us?
well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but
0.6.
I was going to say, I have a question. If we did make finals, and I know it's still very raw that we didn't, how far do you reckon we would have gone?
we beat Brisbane.
Okay. Okay.
We beat Brisbane and then we beat Collingwood in the prelim. Actually, no, it wouldn't be Collingwood. It'd be, who would it be? I don't know. We'd make a prelim, I think.
It would have been Freo, I think, if we beat Brisbane.
It would have been the loser of Freo Geelong.
I don't know if I would
Geelong.
have want to play the granny this year, because I think Geelong has it in the bag unless someone just takes it to a new level. I think it would have been a lot more painful having to watch that, knowing that they're so dominant and experienced in what they do. But
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Rather make it and get knocked out straight away than go out the
No,
window.
I'm talking grand final, not.
Yeah, I don't care. I'd
Oh,
rather make
sorry.
it. I've never seen it. Never seen one, babe. Never seen one, babe. I would like to just experience it. I don't care if we go down by 150 points. I just want to be there. I just want to be like, I'm buying grand final tickets for
Yeah.
my team.
Yeah, but
That's all.
if we get pumped by 150 points, you would.
You're gonna wish, and
You're
it's
gonna wish
all
it,
off. Exactly.
I said this on Sunday.
No.
I would have rather gone down by like 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 points. I don't care.
Yeah, that's on Sunday. Grand
Still-
final is different. No, grand final is different. Ask any.
Again, you said it yourself. You've never experienced it. A grand final is
Uh,
different
ask
when
any
you're in
Port
that
Adelaide.
moment.
Ask any Port Adelaide supporter about 2007, and they'll give you traumatic memories. So,
At the end of the day, what can you do? We're not out there, guys. We're just in the stands going, yay. Like,
we weren't doing that on Sunday.
Maybe you are.
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
of us are.
Crying.
Yeah.
no, I'm not going to actually show you how I am. Everyone's going to think I'm feral.
Oh,
They already think that, though.
aren't we? All right, that wraps up. We've ended on a more humorous note than about 5 minutes ago. So let's wrap it up. Thank you all for joining. I enjoyed this, and I think we might need to come together for a big 2023 preview next year. So thank you all for joining me. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Carlton Wrap, and apologise, there were a lot of episodes this year, but look, that's just the way it is, and we'll go again next year, as will the boys. So thank you everyone for joining, and we'll see you soon.